Okay, this little video is dealing with another question B that comes up regularly, and that is the diary entries. They've come up twice in the last 5 years in the question B section, and of course they come up in the longer composition questions in section 2 of paper 1 with other essays and personal essays and short stories and things like that. So in this little video we're going to look at ones that have come up before, and we're going to look at the breakdown of what you're expected to do in a diary entry question to see how best to do it. So let's take a look at the ones that have come up in the past. So there was one that came up in 2018 here. Let's take a quick look at that. We have it in yellow here highlighted, and it says, imagine you are representing your school in the final of a competition. You are free to choose any type of competition. So they give you some suggestions. Maybe it's a sport related competition, maybe it's a debating competition, maybe it's a singing competition, and you have to write 3 diary entries in which you record the details of your training or preparation, reflect on the challenges you faced during the competition, and considers what inspires you to keep working hard in advance of the final. Okay. And then there was another one in 2015. This is the ordinary level paper, by the way. We're looking at the ordinary level paper, but the same thing, relatively speaking, applies to the higher level. And in this question in 2015, it was, write 2 diary entries, one in which you record a time when a misunderstanding arose between you and one or more of your parents or guardians, and a second diary entry in which you record how you clarified the misunderstanding. Okay, it all sounds very, very dull, but the beauty of the diary entry is it's anything but dull. It's actually filled with emotions and doubts and fears and, hopes and all those things. That's what marks a good diary entry, and it's your job to turn this relatively boring, mundane question into a diary entry in which you pour your heart out. You record the details of the day and the weeks running up to something. In this case, it's it's about a misunderstanding. So you'd have to talk about what the misunderstanding was, but then you also have to record how you felt about the misunderstanding, what you think about the misunderstanding, how you feel, what you're going to do about it, what you hope to see happens, your fears and your worries and your hopes. That's what marks a good diary entry, irregardless of the question that's asked. So let's just take a specific look now about how to break down this diary entry into its various components. So first of all, what does it look like? What's the form of a diary entry? So if you were asked to do 3 diary entries, it would probably take you over 1.5 pages to 2 pages, and you'd have the date, and really that's it. You would then just start writing. There's no Dear Diary, although you can if you want, but people really don't do that, do they? If they write diaries, do they say Dear Diary? Not necessarily, so you don't have to have that in it. You don't have to sign your name at the end. That's not really what some people do, but you can if you want. It's just literally a piece of writing, another piece of writing with the date, and another piece of writing with the date. And each of these pieces of writing represent a different stage in your thought process because it represents a different day. And you would hope that as the days go on, your attitude, your feelings towards something will change. You have to show that you are developing as a person, and it's not just the same again and again and again. Okay, you might be recording the same event. So like 2015's question, you're talking about a misunderstanding, but your interpretation of that misunderstanding, your feelings, your relationships, they're developing, they're changing. And so each of the entries should show a different you, a slightly different you, as you grow as a person, as your relationship changes and you begin to develop a greater understanding of something. That's what's key. Show how you develop. What's the purpose of a diary entry? Okay, why would somebody keep a diary? Why are you writing this diary? You must always keep these questions at the forefront of your mind because they dictate how you write. So an examiner would want to see the basics. A diary entry is designed to record the events of a day or a week, whatever it is, the question that's asked, but you're recording the events, what happened, who did it, where did it happen, why is it happening, what's going to happen now that it did happen, that kind of thing. You must record how you felt. That's crucial. How you feel. You've got to reveal your emotions. It's not a newspaper article. It's a private diary entry in which you talk about your feelings. Okay, you've got to put feelings in there, emotions. You've got to reason things out. You've got to try to make sense of what's happening in your life. You've got to make some effort to question yourself. Are you doing the right thing? You must have doubts, questions, fears, worries. That's what makes a good diary entry. You've got to put in your most private thoughts, because you have to imagine that nobody else is going to read this. This is not for anyone else's digestion. This is for you and for you alone, to look back on in months or years to see how you grew as a person. And it captures a moment in time. Those of you who do keep diary entries in real life, maybe I'd challenge you to go back and read a diary entry from when you were, let's say, 12 or 13, and see the different person that you were back then. And even that can happen. A person can change so much in the space of 3 days, as a problem arises and is resolved. You change, your attitudes change, your opinion changes, your feelings change. You grow as a person, and that should be shown in your diary entry. And you should you should not be afraid to put in your most private thoughts, your fears, your love, your hate, that type of thing. Who is the audience for a diary entry? Well, the audience is, like I said, it's just you and you alone. There's nobody else going to be reading this. Oh no, obviously in real life the examiner is going to read it. But that's just a technicality. It's not supposed to be read by anybody else, and you have to write it as though no one else will ever read this. It's under lock and key. It's under your mattress. It's in your bedroom. It's hidden away. You're pouring your heart out. It's not for anyone else's digestion. And you're not writing it to be popular, to show how happy a person you are. You're writing it to put down on paper everything. It's like a form of therapy, diary entries. You've got to pour your heart out onto that page because nobody else is reading it. Now that's good news in a way, because it's linked to this next bit, the register, the language. Because nobody else is going to read it, and it's because it's not for public consumption, it's the most informal of all the question bees. You make up the rules to a certain extent. Of course, you still have to write in English and, use as good as grammar as you can. But being too stilted and grammatically correct, it's actually a bad thing in a diary entry. Because it just is not how people write diary entries. They don't worry about crossing their T's and dotting their I's when it comes to good manners and everything being perfect. It's not about that. It's about what I said already. It's about recording and revealing your emotions, and you can do that in whatever way you want, really. So try to be genuine. Some students like to put in little doodles into their entry, like a little love heart. Maybe they're talking about someone that they like or fancy, so they put in a little love heart after it. Or maybe they've had an argument, or they're confused over something their friend said, so they'll put a question mark into it. Or maybe they talk about a funny thing that happened that day, so they'll put a little smiley face into it. Now, your diary entry should not be filled with these things. They shouldn't take up any space. Like, they shouldn't be any bigger than what I've drawn here, just little things at the end of the odd sentence or the end of an entry. It's just to give it that extra depth and to show the examiner that this is what people do in diary entries. This is the reality, and you have to try and represent and mimic reality as much as you can when you're doing these question Bs. It should be written in the first person narrative, so you should have lots of I's. You're writing it about yourself at the end of the day, aren't you? You're writing about your own life and your own feelings, so you're talking about yourself. It's a very personal document. You should ask questions and think through your day. Did I do the right thing there? Should I have acted differently? I wonder, what kind of a person am I going to be in 5 years' time? Did I make the right decision when I became friends with, Janie? You're thinking through the decisions you made that day, and indeed your life as a whole. And really, really importantly in the diary entry, in the language that you use in the diary entry, it has to be personal, and you've got to reveal. You've just got to talk about your life and how it's going and how you feel. With little sentences like those in red. They're just some examples I made up. But you've got to talk about those things. You've got to reveal your innermost feelings, thoughts, worries, fears, and hopes. Okay? That's the language. It's wide open. But again, it's important. There's such a distinction, a difference between a newspaper article like we looked at already in one of the previous videos, or a letter to the editor, which has its own purpose and its own register, and the diary entry, which we're talking about today. These are the things that get you the marks. Understanding the difference between each of those forms of writing, and then going for it. Actually going for it. Putting your mind, imagining that you're somebody else. Imagining for a moment that you are, a lonely teenager riddled with doubts, and you're going to pour your heart out onto this page. Or imagining that you're a really confident teenager, filled with hopes and filled with dreams, and confident about how things are going to go. You've got to imagine to be that person, and write like that person would write. You can be yourself, but if you're going to be yourself, be extraordinary, be different, be that person that, is capable of writing down their emotions and expressing themselves and asking questions and having doubts and that type of thing. Now, if you are that person and you already keep a diary and you know exactly what it is to keep a diary, great, good for you. But like I said, try and really maximize that and be dramatic and be emotional. Okay, that's what you've got to do. Part of the Leaving Cert is kind of being an actor. You've got to kind of be an actor, be somebody else. And when you be that somebody else, be 100% that person in your language, in what you say and how you say it. The context of a diary. What is the context of a diary? Well, in general, you write a diary entry when you're on your own. Okay, you do it when you're on your own. You don't do it around other people at a crowded pub or dinner table or something. You do it on your own, probably in your bedroom, at the end of the day, not at the start of the day. So I've seen some diary entries in which the people that are writing them ask, I wonder what I'm going to do today. No, you can't ask that question because you've already done. The day has already happened. You are looking back over it. You are reflecting. You are reflecting on what happened that day. You're recording and reflecting. What actually happened and how do you feel about that? What can you learn from that? What now will you hope will happen tomorrow? Or what do you fear will happen tomorrow? Okay, that's reflecting. And you've got to show that in your writing by asking rhetorical questions or just questions, by revealing private thoughts and emotions, things like that. That's reflecting. No one else will read this diary entry. Now, obviously the examiner will read it, but you have to imagine that the context of a diary is a private document kept in your room that nobody else reads. So if that is the case, you would be very intimate in the diary. You would be very personal and very private. No one else reads it, so private emotions are expected. And that's really, really important. Now, having read this, let's just take a look at that question again. Those questions that we looked at a moment ago from 2018. And let's see, at first glance, they seemed like very boring questions. But let's see if we can tease it out and see how we could make it private, personal, emotional, revealing. So this question. Imagine you are representing your school in the final of a competition. Okay, final. There's going to be stress, isn't there? It's a final. You're representing your school. So there's going to be stress. There's going to be doubts. There's going to be worries. There's going to be fears. There's going to